Special needs, hyperactive, child, stimulants, medication, ADHD, emotional behavioral disorder, IEP, lack of impulse control. Do you know what all these things have in common? These are all things you may hear when they tell you that your child has ADHD and behavioral issues. You start to think it can't be true. It's something you did wrong. You get overwhelmed with all the information thrown at you and know that this is something you will be working on pretty much your child's whole life. Don't even get me started with the process when you get him into school. It's a whole other set of steps that needs to be taken. But I don't complain because I know this is also my little man can get the help he needs and grow up to be whatever he wants to be. The reason I know all of this is because a year ago my son was diagnosed with ADHD and behavioral issues. And I felt completely overwhelmed, alone, and guilty. But I will help you not feel the way I did when I heard the diagnosis, telling you the process, how to handle the diagnosis, and what you should know if your child is of school age when he is diagnosed. I want to help you better understand and feel better prepared when dealing with ADHD, with your ADHD child. I also want you to know a little bit of the biggest hurdles that I had to face, and I'm still facing to this day. I will tell you about when I was first given the diagnosis and what I needed to do to get him where he is today. When I first heard the diagnosis, I felt so sad for my son. This is something he has to deal with, and I can't imagine how he's feeling inside. I felt overwhelmed for myself. Oh my God, what should I do? Where do I start? Will this stop him from being what he wants to be? I had no idea where to begin with getting him the help he needs. And that, I think, is what I should have already known. When he got diagnosed, he was in his current private school. And the reason we did the diagnosis is because of how he was acting out in his behavior. The private school told me every day I had to go and pick him up. He was disrupting the class. Getting the call that they don't have the resources to keep him there, and I had until the end of that week to transfer him out, was overwhelming. Now I had to scramble, take time off of work, call the schools, get all the paperwork, then having to register him into a public school and explaining everything that is going on, thinking they're judging you, like, oh my God, you're bringing this child here, but hoping that what you're doing is going to help them get to where they need to go. Getting him help was the most important step in this journey so far for me. At school, there's this IEP, which helps place them where they can get the resources to succeed. So I had to start the IEP process, which was long. But thankfully, in my case, because of his behavioral and the school didn't have the resources, they helped speed it up for me. I had to seek behavioral therapy because that's what's going to help him learn to be a good standing member of society. It was an insane amount of phone calls, meetings, paperwork, and appointments galore. But I knew it's something that I needed to do, even if I didn't want to, even if I didn't feel well that day, because I'm doing this for my child. My son is on medication. So the trial and error with his medication is still an ongoing battle. It works, but not how it should. So I have to continuously keep changing it. And it's okay, because I know eventually we'll get to that cocktail that will help him. Fighting with insurance to get him approved for the help he needs. You have no idea. My son gets Medicaid. And getting him approved for the therapies and his psychiatry and everything has been a struggle. But if you keep on and you keep going and you're fighting and you know what you're fighting for, which is your child, it will be okay. Now I'm finally making progress 1 year later. Got his IEP, and he's in school and a class that can help him. He's with other children with the same condition, so he doesn't feel alone, and he doesn't feel alienated, and he doesn't feel like he's a bad child. He finally got approved for his behavioral therapy, so he's learning the things that he needs to learn to help him with his impulse, to help him focus on his work, to help him be a standing citizen. And so he's finally heading in the right direction. You have no idea how hard it's been. And it's still going to keep going as he grows. I'm okay with that. Because at the end, it will work out. So as you can see, having a child be diagnosed with ADHD and behavioral issues is not the end of the world. You're not alone, and it can be managed as long as you do what the doctors tell you and you provide your child the therapies that he needs. As for the medications, I always say it is the parent's choice, but it has worked for my son. It can be overwhelming, but when you feel at your wit's end, I want you to take a deep breath and say to yourself, I am strong, I can do this, I am not alone, this is not my fault, and I will be my child's guide and strength during this process. It's not easy, it can be overwhelming at times, and it's a lifelong battle, but it doesn't have to be.